Thank you, Madam President. I rise today to express my opposition to President Biden's nominee to be the Comptroller of the Currency, Dr. Saule Omarova. Although not the most publicly known office, the Comptroller of the Currency is a prominent and influential position that regulates and supervises all national banks. Given the undeniable importance of this office to the economy and to Americans, it has long been kept free of divisive politics and extreme views. And while I talk about the Office of the Comptroller of Currency and I talk about banks, what my concerns are certainly more than just the financial institutions that are in our country's economy. It's the people, their customers that are served, that bother me or worry me the most. Rather than offer practical ideas for strengthening our nation's banks, Dr. Omarova advocates for the elimination of all commercial banks, the very financial institutions she should be interested in partnering with. Instead, she wishes to replace them with one bank, the Federal Reserve. While the Comptroller might not have direct control of the Federal Reserve structure, the reach of this position cannot be understated. The Office of the Comptroller is a member of the Federal Financial Institutions Examination Council, the Financial Stability Oversight Council, and even the board of the FDIC, an agency that Dr. Omarova hopes to eliminate. Although the doctor claims to support community banks, her plan would regulate them to mere franchises of the larger Federal Reserve. And her comments have alarmed many Kansas community bankers. They have grave concerns about her policies that would, quote, as she said, end banking as we know it. One Kansas banker told me, I have severe concerns with the President's nominee to be Comptroller of the Currency. Her support of moving the payment system entirely through the Federal Reserve and her commentary in favor of abolishing the FDIC moves the entire banking system toward a government-controlled financial system. Eliminating the dual banking system would be disastrous for entrepreneurs and consumers alike in the marketplace. Another banker from Kansas said, "We expect our regulator to supervise safety and soundness for the banks in the system, not to propose and force-feed social agenda items to us." Local lenders, I certainly know this in the state of Kansas. Local lenders are the cornerstone of many small towns, and the Comptroller should appreciate the value that community banking brings, what I call relationship banking. They provide crucial lending services for the underbanked populations in rural and urban areas alike. Eliminating the one-on-one personal approach that allows community banks to thrive will do permanent damage to financial inclusivity and will further push people out of the financial system. I've often said to my colleagues in Washington, D.C. that economic development in many places in Kansas is whether or not there's a grocery store in town. And it didn't take me too long to realize that that answer of whether or not there's a grocery store in town often revolves around whether or not there's a community bank, a relationship bank in town, one that makes decisions certainly on the wellness, the ability for the loan to be repaid, but what's in the best interest of the community? How can I make my community and my customers better off through the way this bank operates? Another Kansas banker noted, it appears that Dr. Omarova is comfortable with a banking model, quote, that lacks luster and the agility to serve the diverse nature of the American banking industry. With a banking model that would provide no incentive to create innovative new products, consumers would no longer benefit from the financial modernization that has brought so many people into the banking sector, so many customers to the banking sector. Consumers are best served by a financial system that offers competitively priced loans and lets lenders invest back in their local communities. We must continuously work to improve our financial sector for everyone, but forcing consumers to bank with the government would do so much more harm than good. Kansans want less government in their lives, not more, as this would be. Under Dr. Omarova's proposal, the government would have mandatory seats on bank boards and be able to control investments in, quote, socially suboptimal, unquote, activities, a subjective definition that can be interpreted to stifle investment. She believes that the federal bureaucrats should handpick who gains access to credit, all but ensuring that leftist ideas would be funded. Confirming her to this office would provide Dr. Omarova with ample opportunity to deny funding to industries she finds politically unfavorable including bankrupting our domestic energy companies, something she spoke about. Well, Dr. Omarova cheers on companies' bankruptcies, jobs disappear, families go without income, and that American dream that's so important to all of us is crushed. Unfortunately, the doctor's confirmation hearing this morning only deepened my concerns. Her views, her radical views, have no place in the role of a nation's top bank regulator. She's entitled to her views, she's entitled to her radical views, but not as the nation's top bank regulator. By nominating Dr. Omarova, President Biden looks to fundamentally reshape banking from market-driven industry to a one-size-fits-all government entity. Thought of a centrally planned economy and a banking system like that is not only unworkable, but it's radical, radically wrong. Even if these ideas are just for the sake of some academic thought, Dr. Omarova's suggestions have consequential impacts. This is a very powerful position, and we would take her views lightly at our own risks. I urge my colleagues to reject this nominee, and I yield the floor.